Now on CoastTV News.
Tariff troubles on the coast, how appliances are being impacted from the imposed tariffs by the Trump administration. The north side of the Indian River Inlet is back up after millions of dollars and months of work. The drawbridge leading into Rehoboth needs some work. How DelDOT plans to improve it, and closures you need to know.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with the nationwide impacts and reaction of the tariffs from the Trump administration. U.S. stocks tumbled for the third straight day, and fears of a recession remain front and center. But the president has doubled down on his tariff plans, including a direct message for China. Cheryl Hubbard shows us the latest on the ongoing tariff saga.
President Donald Trump issued a new threat to China Monday: comply or else.
If that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on.
He made the comments while hosting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. Trump threatening to add new 50% tariffs on China if Beijing doesn't remove its own retaliatory tariffs by Tuesday. It's the latest move in what many economists are calling a global trade war.
I have great respect for China, but they can't do this. We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing.
Some Republican leaders are urging patience in Trump's economic plan.
I think you got to give the president the latitude, the runway to do what it is he was elected to do.
While on Wall Street, fears of a recession sent U.S. stocks on a roller coaster ride. After another extremely volatile day, stocks closed mixed, with the Dow and S&P sliding after Trump said he's not looking at pausing tariffs.
This is a shock that markets haven't really dealt with before.
Meanwhile, Trump promising his plan will bring what he calls historic prosperity to Americans.
Tariffs will make this country very rich.
I'm Cheryl Hubbard reporting.
The CEO of JP Morgan is sounding the alarm bell about President Trump's tariff policy. In his annual letter to shareholders, Jamie Dimon wrote the tariffs are likely to increase inflation and slow down growth. However, he says it's unclear if they will also cause a recession. Dimon also warned the tariffs, along with Trump's American First policy, could undermine America's position in the world. He had recently argued the U.S. economy appeared to be in solid shape. And back here on the coast, washers, dryers, refrigerators, and lights, they're all household essentials for many people here on Delmarva. And with these newly imposed tariffs, those and many other appliances are going to cost you more. CoastTV News reporter Emma Aiken shows us the impacts of these tariffs on the coast.
Lights out for low prices. Andrew Scrutchfield with Lighthouse of Lewes says almost every item in the store will be hurt by tariffs.
It's something that we can't exactly control because, the cost gets bumped down from the manufacturer to us and then ultimately the consumer at the end of the day. So it's a tough road ahead, and it's hard to plan for it accordingly.
And every appliance is made up of lots of parts.
A lot of those base electrical components, the wire and the circuitry inside, usually comes from overseas. That isn't really made here. So that basically on every level it gets affected, whether it's the entire fixture or just a component.
And down the road at Millman's Appliances, for Gary Corman, the same rings true.
It's going to impact us all as consumers. Across the globe, we're all going to be affected. Unfortunately, that's the reality of being a consumer in today's market.
In the past several weeks, Corman says he's buying as many appliances from within the U.S. as he can to help the community shop tariff-free. For now, the tariff effect is a new reality, and for these businesses, this time, it may not come out in the wash.
The Lighthouse of Lewes says they're very well aware that for some people, the next home improvement project is just going to get put on pause, and a group of customers may not be stopping in for the time being. Continuing with President Trump's tariffs, Apple is reconsidering how it does business. People familiar with Apple is thinking the company plans to send more iPhones to the United States from India. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Right now, the president's tariffs package hit China with a 54% rate, while India's goods are lower at 26%. The iPhone is Apple's signature product. It makes up about 50% of Apple's revenue, so the company may temporarily change course and rely more on India. Apple will make about 25 million iPhones in India this year. About 15 million would be for U.S. customers. And this brings us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know, what's your biggest concern with tariffs? Let's take a look at our updated results from our 6 p.m. newscast. So far, 40% say product prices, 37% say market drops, and 22% for no concerns. If you haven't voted yet, you still can on our mobile app or on CoastTV.com. New lodging and rental tax may be finding a new room in the city of Lewes. Tonight, a public hearing was held about those taxes. City leaders are proposing 2 new accommodation taxes. One would be a 2% lodging tax on hotels, and the other would tax short-term and long-term rentals at 5.5% and 5% respectively. City officials also say the proposed taxes would give visitors a way to contribute to the city. One local Coast TV spoke with said she wouldn't mind the increase.
I don't think it's going to make a difference. People will pay what it costs. It's a very desirable place to come and visit. You know, it's a great community. There's a lot of history here.
There is no clear date set yet from the City Council on a possible decision, but the write-in comment period is open until May 2nd at 4 p.m. The Affordable Housing Production Task Force has released its final report outlining 9 key recommendations to increase housing in Delaware. This group was formed in 2024. The task force aims to tackle the state's housing crisis by expanding funding for affordable housing, reforming zoning laws, streamlining approvals, and providing incentives to developers. The bipartisan group, which includes state officials and housing experts, hope these measures will create more affordable housing options for Delawareans, and this full report is available on our website at CoastTV.com. On your screen now are photos from the Indian River Volunteer Fire Company, and they say this crash happened late Saturday night on Indian Mission Road near Harmon's Hill Road. The fire company says it appeared the Nissan sedan hit a utility pole. The driver was trapped in the Nissan before being helped out by EMS, and the driver refused any additional medical attention. As Delmarva got showered with rain today, the Maryland Department of Emergency Management are giving out these tips on how to prepare for flash flooding. MDEM says to always have an emergency kit, which includes food, water, blankets, and jumper cables. The agency says it only takes about 6 inches of water to carry away an adult and 12 inches of water to carry away a small car. And they coined the phrase, just turn around and don't drown. In that theme, we're going to be taking a live look into Ocean City and bringing our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you, Brandon. And one quick note about flooding, by the way. What is it? What weather phenomenon or severe weather kills more human beings each year? It's not tornadoes or hurricanes. It's actually flooding. Just so you'll know, that's why you should take flooding more seriously. We weren't concerned about floodwaters today, but we did have our fair share of rain. We had over an inch of rain for us in Georgetown, and 1.36 over an inch and a quarter in Ocean City. Same holds true for us actually in Salisbury. We have more sites that we've been tracking, but we have a second wave of light scattered shower activity that's continues to push across our neck of the woods. And so we're looking at that as a concern for us. Now we do have gale wind warnings in effect for Prime Hook Beach, Broadkill Beach, Oyster Rock, watching out for about 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Also, we're concerned about very blustery conditions at Lewes, Rehoboth Beach, Ocean View, Fenwick Island. Now, it's not quite as much of a deal for us in West Ocean City, but we just had one storm cell that pushed across. That was actually one that produced some hail. And so we see some isolated cells still pushing across. So we still see hit and miss spot showers pushing across our region in general for the rest of the night. Coming up, we'll talk more about, believe it or not, the temperatures tanking like crazy. But until then, back to you.
Thank you, Paul. After months of reconstruction, the north side of the Indian River Inlet is open to the public once again. But one hazard is still on the beach to look out for. As Coast TV News' Kevin Sapay shows us what you can expect entering the new renovated beach.
Although it's raining along the coast, Brian Whalen still enjoys fishing near the Indian River Inlet and was glad to see the north side finally reopen.
My wife and I walked down there yesterday and we think it looked really beautiful.
Last year, waves crashed through the sand and entered the highway. And after months of the north side being closed due to reconstruction, people can now enjoy the beach again. Although it's ready for public use, people should still be cautious of some hazards. Now, all along the north side of the Indian River Beach are these things called scarping, which is caused by erosion, which is deep drop-offs when you're walking towards the waves. So if you plan to come to this reopened beach, be sure you're aware of these drop-offs. As Whalen fishes along the Indian River Inlet, he's happy to see all that work paid off.
I watched them build it over the winter time, and they did a really nice job. It's perfect. The beach looks nice. Really nice work.
With a wall of sand being put in place to stop the waves from crashing near the highway, Whalen hopes this will hold up the waves for years to come. The second phase plans to be done by the Army Corps of Engineers, which involves dredging this fall. I'm Kevin Zapay, Indian River Inlet, Coast TV News.
Now to Rehoboth Beach. We're talking about the Sea Witch Festival. While it's 6 months away, parking plans were discussed today. The Rehoboth Beach City Commissioners voted to end overnight parking for the Thursday before the parade. This is to prevent people from parking their cars in front of local businesses days in advance. One business owner doesn't think this will impact the amount of people tailgating.
I don't think it's going to have any major impact. I think the avenue will still be filled with parked cars, which, unless they had a whole, we're not going to have anybody park here, and then I think that would be a real situation everyone would get pretty upset about also.
This year's Sea Witch Festival will take place from October 24th to the 26th. Earlier today, DelDOT had a workshop informing Rehoboth Beach locals on what it plans for the drawbridge into town and how it will take weeks to do. The project is looking to not only repair parts of the bridge, but paint the steel of the bridge to make sure it stays in solid condition for years to come. This is the current state of the bridge, and as you can see on your screen, it's used frequently. And according to DelDOT's website, tonight's meeting, quote, will cover why the painting is needed, the project timeline, and how Rehoboth Avenue and Canal Street traffic patterns and marine traffic will be affected. CoastTV spoke with someone who lives in Rehoboth and says any road work that can be done to improve the nation's summer capital is work he can get behind.
I really believe in infrastructure improvement because everybody benefits, whether you're driving, biking, or on a scooter. It's important, and it helps increase tourism as well, right? Tourism is big, for Rehoboth.
This work is expected to take place this off-season from October to April. The project is scheduled to take approximately 10 weeks to complete, with work planned between October 25th and April 2026. So drivers and boaters, because it is a drawbridge, get ready for some delays, detours, and traffic. Facility upgrades coming to DSU. The college plans to pay for these improvements.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. We're looking for breezy conditions for Tuesday and 49 degrees. Sunshine on Wednesday. But don't let that fool you. And I'm going to explain to you why. I'm being melodramatic about it. And there's a real reason why. I'll be back in about 60 seconds.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
We have an update on the upcoming sex trafficking trial for Sean Diddy Combs. Federal prosecutors plan to use evidence of prior sexual assault allegations against the music mogul, according to court filings made public on Monday. Prosecutors are seeking to rebuke Combs' claims that so-called freak-offs or sex parties were consensual. Lawyers for Combs said prosecutors only recently said they plan to present evidence of other alleged crimes. Combs' attorney asked the judge to exclude the testimony or hold a hearing to dig into that issue. A settlement was reached Sunday on the eve of a civil trial against Boeing by two families of the passengers killed in a 2019 737 MAX crash. That's according to a release by the plaintiff's lawyers. Jury selection was set to start this morning in Chicago, and Antonio Lewis and Darcy Bellinger were among the 157 people killed when the Ethiopian Airlines flight slammed into the ground after takeoff from an airport in Ethiopia. A similar crash in 2018 involved a Lion Air 737 MAX, and more civil trials for other family members are being scheduled. Goldman Sachs says the odds of a recession are much more likely in the wake of President Trump's tariffs. In a report to clients, economists at Goldman Sachs raised their 12-month recession probability from 35% to now at 45%. It also slashed its yearly GDP forecast to 0.5%, and the investment bank said foreign consumer boycotts and continued uncertainty from the Trump trade war are impacting spending, even more than they had previously assumed. Goldman says the downturn will worsen if Trump's tariffs threats are actually carried out. Coming up, we have some tips on how to get fit for the summer. We have that after weather. Still to come on Coast TV News.
Here's a look at your golf forecast. I don't know why you'd want to go out golfing tomorrow, but okay, if you do, not so good. Chilly, windy, breezy, cold, 47 degrees, and then, by the way, we have a freeze watch in effect.
The women's NCAA basketball championship game was dominated by the University of Connecticut. The Huskies dethroned the South Carolina Gamecocks to claim the 12th title in program history. It caps an impressive run UConn had to defeat 3 #1 seeds to become the 2025 national champions. And now to some health news. Being healthy should be a lifelong goal, but as weather gets warmer and vacations may be looming, you may have found some motivation to shed a few pounds you may have added during the winter months. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither talks to a sports medicine doctor about what to do now to get fit for the summer.
You might be eyeing that swimsuit and the number on the scale. If you have a fitness goal to reach before summer, start now.
It's very reasonable to see weight loss in the first few weeks. However, in order to really put on muscle mass and develop muscle tone, that often develops over more of a longer time period, roughly 8 to 12 weeks.
Dr. Matthew Anastasi with Mayo Clinic says health should be a long-term goal, but if you've suddenly found motivation, set yourself up for success by eating a well-balanced diet, a combination of fruits and veggies and lean proteins, while avoiding processed foods and added sugars. Next, be physically active. 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week is recommended. And switch it up. Do cardio some days and strength and resistance training other days.
I think the biggest key is to not try to go from 0 to 60 right away. We often see a lot of soft tissue injuries the beginning part of the year because people start the year off with a New Year's resolution and they go from not being active at all and being rather sedentary to trying to run 5 miles per day.
To stay motivated, Anastasi says to build exercise into your schedule. He says getting good quality sleep is also key, allowing your body to recharge. And remember to stay hydrated. Avoiding alcohol can also help.
There can be a lot of unnecessary calories and sugar in alcohol. So when you're looking at trying to lose weight, those can be working against you.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The doctor says he often gets asked what's the best diet for getting healthier. The recommendation is the Mediterranean diet, which is a plant-based with healthy fats and a moderate amount of fish, poultry, eggs, and dairy. He says that this diet can particularly help a person lead an active lifestyle while eating well-balanced meals. We now take a live look into Salisbury, and after the break here on Coast TV News at 11, we have a final check on your forecast. In Salisbury, an opportunity to meet future employers. The city says it will hold a job fair on April 26th. Representatives from multiple different industries will be in attendance, allowing people to network. The job fair takes place at the Newtown Community Center from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Coast TV will be there.
Take a look at our Tidal Health camera in Salisbury. Yes, we have the streets that are indeed a bit on the wet side, a bit of puddling happening right now. Be careful, you're going to be driving. She could be at work third shift, by the way. 44 degrees for us. We're going to stay in the mid-40s with chance of scattered showers continuing until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Then most of us should begin to kind of come to an end. Here's a look at the rain right now. We have heavier showers to our south, but a couple more impressive cells. It's going to lean us a little bit more towards us, but it'll take it a couple hours before it gets here. Our umbrella giveaway winner is Thomas Trader of Millsboro. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration. and home remodeling. Call our weather line, 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law office of Brugstead, Mandela's, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your 10-day forecast. Windy on Tuesday with 49 for the high, 52 on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies. But remember, Wednesday morning, we're going to wake up to temperatures below freezing. Oh my goodness. And by the way, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, rain will come back in style. But good news, next Monday or Tuesday, 69 and 75 degrees, and hopefully we'll break this crazy cold weather that keeps wanting to revisit us over and over.
Thank you, Paul. Looking good for next week. Thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon starts now.